after Dhuhr, we'll have programs inshallah here at the main center with both Dr. Ahmed Siddiq and then with Imam Zaid Shak. So obviously from Zaytuna. So we encourage everyone to attend. This topic will be blessed giving during the blessed month. And inshallah it'll actually be for those who can attend the fundraiser for the new, inshallah, the proposed Adam Sully Center. He will be at that fundraiser in the evening as well. But I wanted to make sure I made that announcement before beginning with the dars for today. Bismillah. Now, the topic for today, the concept that's going to be elaborated upon is that of brotherhood, as shown in the Quran. And specifically not just brotherhood, but the building of a community. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Hujuraat tells people, he said, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنما المؤمنون إخوة فأصلحوا بين أخويكم واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إنما المؤمنون إخوة, that indeed the believers are but one single brotherhood. فأصلحوا بين أخويكم, so make amends between your brothers. واتقوا الله, and fear Allah Azza wa Jal, or be heedless of Allah Azza wa Jal, indeed so that you may have mercy. We have verses like this throughout the Quran, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to the believers as being one community, and specifically one brotherhood. In fact, there are times in which the prophets are told that that person is not of your family, even though they may be your wife, or even though they may be your son, because they are not a believer. And when you look at it in the context of the Jahili Arabs, these were to whom the first revelation, if you will, of the Quran came and was addressing them. These were people who kinship meant everything to them. The fact that you were a blood relative to somebody automatically bound you to them. You would have defended them with your life. If somebody were to insult them, you would take it as an insult to yourself. And there was nothing aside from a blood relationship and that blood kinship that bound a person together. But Islam elevated the concept of brotherhood into one that was not simply because you and I share the same genetic code, but it was because you and I had the same system and foundational system of belief. So it took this really strong asabiyya, this strong togetherness that was seen as the hallmark of the Jahili Arabs, and it used it in a different context, and that was the context of Iman. Now, these groups of people were bound together by their faith in Allah Azza wa Jalla. And the Prophet ﷺ had a very tough job when you think about it, when he first immigrated to Medina. When he first immigrated to Medina, he had a new community that he had to literally build. This community consisted of who? It consisted of Muslims that had been Muslims from Mecca, who had been oppressed, who had been driven out of their homes, who had literally nothing in some cases in terms of wealth or anything, and their own family members were the ones that pushed them away. And he had to deal with an indigenous Muslim community in Medina. These people were Madani's to begin with. They were part of the Aus and the Khazraj. And although they had not been in Islam very long, they had been in Medina a long time. So they knew and understood the customs of Medina. They understood the language of Medina. They understood the roads and the business transactions of Medina in a way that the immigrants did not understand. And so the Prophet ﷺ had this new dynamic to deal with. How do I deal with people who have been Muslim for over a decade, and these new Muslims, and indeed even in that community we had non-Muslims? How is it that I bring them together? And we'll deal, actually, I believe it's tomorrow's topic is Islam and the dealing and its relationship with non-Muslims. So we'll leave that aside for today. But let's concentrate on what he did with this new community in Medina. Really amazing, subhanAllah. As I remember one of my teachers saying, the Prophet ﷺ, mashallah, his genius, and you see it over and over again in the seerah. And one of the things that he did was something that, imagine, talks about in his seerah class. He did mu'akhara. mu'akha. He took the people of Mecca that had immigrated with him, and he made a person of Medina their brother. So he brothered them. Literally, mu'akha means to brother or brother. He made these people brothers to one another. He took a person of Medina and said, look, you know Medina, and I want you to be a brother to this new immigrant into this community in Medina. And show him everything. Show him the ropes, if you will. Show him how to trade. Show him the marketplace. Show him, what to do and what not to do, and all of it. And the Sahaba took this commandment very seriously. This mu'akhad. All of a sudden, they became brothers to one another, and they took it very seriously. In fact, in this book, Imam al-Ghazali mentions in the duties and rights of brotherhood that a man came to Abu Hurairah and he said, excuse me, "Oh Abu Hurairah, I want to be your brother for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla. I want to be your brother for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla." And Abu Hurairah turned to him and he said, "Yes." Possible. Is this better? Inshallah. So Abu Hurairah, this man comes to Abu Hurairah and he says, "I want to be your brother for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla." Abu Hurairah says, "In that case, your pockets and my pockets are one. In other words, your wallet and my wallet is one. So I should just be able to go into your pockets and pull money out anytime I want." The brother said, the man said, "I can't be that kind of a brother." He said, "That's something serious. Now you're not talking about love, you're talking about money. This is something serious." And he said, "I can't be that kind of a brother." Abu Hurairah said, "Then I don't have any need for you." He's like, go find a different brother. He's like, because that's not the way we understood brotherhood. They took this very seriously. And oftentimes, brothers and sisters, if we look into our own communities, we have people who are new members into the community that are moving in all the time. They're coming in, whether it's for their jobs or it's for their families or what have you. What we should have is a mechanism in place to assimilate them into the community, to get them involved, not just in the masjid, but even in the society around them. And sometimes these mechanisms are missing. But the Prophet ﷺ, he understood that if we're really going to bring this community and build it up, they've got to feel like they're brothers. They have to feel vested in each other. And he put in this system of mu'akha to help them literally in their worldly affairs, to get them going, if you will. Remember, these Meccans had nothing. Many of them, when they came to Medina. But the Madinese, they were set on making sure that their brothers were taken care of. And they took that commandment seriously. This was one of the first things that the Prophet ﷺ did in building this new community. He also, and it was during this time in Medina, that the 5 daily prayers became a jama'ah, if you will. So there's some difference of opinion as to when they were commanded, it was during Isra al-Miraj and other things like that. But we know for a fact that by the time the Sahaba came, or by the time the Meccans and the Medians were living in that community in Medina, now we had jama'ah prayers that were established. So you have here that the Prophet ﷺ is trying to bind them together in this ukhuwah, in this brotherhood, in terms of the dunya, but also in terms of the spiritual world. So that even their salah is established, even their turning to Allah Azza wa Jalla is established together as a community. And this is why, brothers and sisters, it's so important for us to take advantage of the jama'ah prayers in our masjid, even outside of Ramadan. I mean, sometimes, because of the barakah of Ramadan, it's very easy to come in. Mashallah, we have nearly over 150, 200 people here for Fajr prayer right now, today, this morning, alhamdulillah. But this should be something that's continued even after Ramadan.